So social media really sucks right now. And not in the way that it's always kind of sucked with, the online fighting, just, terrible accounts everywhere, the cyberbullying, shit like that, the clickbait headlines. It feels like in the last year or so, it's gotten worse from a lot of perspectives, and it can all kind of be traced down to two things. One, the TikTok ban, and two, Elon Musk buying Twitter. Now let's cover, the latter of that. Elon Musk, buying Twitter. And there's a lot of there's a lot of things that went wrong with that. You know, the influx of like far right accounts on there. It's everything's just a mess. Quit a Twitter comment section looks like an absolute clans rally at this point, regardless of what topic. The blue check marks, the Twitter blue stuff of like switching the verification system, which was like a really good system on determining like actual figures, people with like legitimacy to like whether it be politicians, journalists, shit like that, and just making it a premium option, like a premium membership, making that the whole thing with like Twitter Blue. It's just a mess. And I think one of the worst aspects that we are now seeing with the company Facebook, and I think Instagram and Threads as well, everything under the Meta umbrella, is the community notes. And essentially, what the community notes are, if you don't already know, is that they're essentially a way for them to not pay fact checkers. So essentially, they will have the user base fact check a post for them, while also not getting rid of the post if it turns out to be false, which is like the dumbest thing ever. To be like, no, we're just gonna let these blatant lies to stay on our platform, and we'll just like add a little thing under the post where it's just like, hey, this isn't true, instead of just getting rid of the post because you claim to be a champion of free speech, even though they clearly are not. And that's just very evident if you try to write cis on Twitter. Very evident that that's not the case. That they do not care for free speech, and that them saying that they do is clearly just a grift. Well, it appears that Mark Zuckerberg saw where that got Elon Musk and decided to follow in his footsteps, as Meta announced that they are now getting rid of fact checkers and are going to adopt a similar sort of system to the community notes. Now, this comes from a report from Al Jazeera. Meta, the owner of Facebook and other social media platforms, will implement major changes to its content moderation policies, founder Mark Zuckerberg announced this week in a video titled More Speech and Fewer Mistakes. Yeah. Yeah, that's what this will result in. Fewer mistakes. Just look on Twitter to see how fewer mistakes are being made on Twitter when it comes to people being like obviously uninformed on a certain topic and talking about it freely, and then other people having to come in and be like, hey, this is wrong. And it's just a terrible system. It's only really a way for them just to not pay fact checkers and also play into this like right wing narrative of like, oh, these fact checkers, these moderation policies are too left wing because we can't say like far right conspiracies on social media. It's absolutely asinine. It's absolutely asinine that like they're trying to treat this like it's clearly not just Zuckerberg playing to the right. And also like Facebook sucked anyways. Facebook sucked anyways. It was everyone knows that like Facebook, it's like a meme at this point where like Facebook is where your like millennial or older uncle Republican Trumper goes to post all this stuff, and that's where you just have to avoid all this content. It's all contained there. You don't have to worry about it. But then Twitter got worse, and I don't know. It feels like Meta's just like, hey, if we can't if we can't beat them, we're just gonna have to join them. And it feels like when the two leading companies are doing this at this point, you can only imagine how it's gonna get worse everywhere else. Like even in normal life, I feel like it's just gonna get so much worse because even the spot where like people go to to kind of like just voice their opinion anonymously in some cases is going to get worse. I don't know. I also feel like this is just a way for Zuckerberg to kind of boost his own profile within the Republican Party, because it feels like, Elon Musk is the head of a government department now. There's no way that, Zuckerberg didn't look at that and was like, I could do that too. It seems just like a very clear grift that's only really going to, like, again, Facebook already sucks. Think how much worse it's going to get. But then let's talk about the TikTok ban, which was probably like the shortest ban in American history. It was gone for like, I believe, 12 hours. And this has been a whole different kind of a mess, because obviously this is something that, I and many other people talked about months and months and months ago. I didn't know how, far this was going to go. I thought there was no way this was going to really get banned. And the thing about the TikTok ban is that you were still going to be able to use TikTok even if it got banned, because really all the ban meant is that like Google and Apple couldn't like have it on their app stores, but if you already had it installed on your phone, you could still use it. It didn't really matter. But the problem is that they are now TikTok. Well, this is the thing. This is like the messy part of it, because I've seen a lot of people talk about this in a way of like, oh, TikTok is conspiring with Trump to like help boost his profile a bit. But here's the thing. This all kind of originates back from 2020 with Trump, who originally wanted to ban TikTok. And he even like tried to get like an executive order signed to pass a TikTok ban, but it obviously didn't go through. But then the Democrats saw that, and I believe it was definitely in response to how much pro-Palestine content was on TikTok, because that was way more than there was on Facebook and Twitter. And I think they saw that, and they were just like, we have to get this banned. Like, there's even, I forget like what the organization was, but there was even like a leader of a pro-Israel group that was like, we have to like go after this, because this is where a lot of the pro-Palestine, sentiment is coming from. So I think that's a big reason why they wanted to push for this TikTok ban. That, and just like the China fear-mongering that the Democrats have joined in on when it comes to this whole thing. It was a mess. Like, when it comes to the TikTok ban, this is just a similar case to the, Israel-Gaza ceasefire deal that I talked about earlier in the week, where it's just Joe Biden just giving Trump a gift before he comes into office, where it's something that he could have easily fixed, but didn't. And now Trump is going to make himself look like the good guy for fixing the situation, because all Biden had to do was just not play into this. This was something that like Democrats just did not have to play into, but they did, because they're fucking dumbasses. And that's why I have a big problem with some people like talking about this, like, oh, it's conspiring, like TikTok is conspiring with Donald Trump. Why are they bringing up Donald Trump when it comes to the TikTok ban, with like the message and like the president of TikTok talking about it, the CEO? And it's just like, because they're trying to get his favor in hopes that they can unban it. That's what they're hoping for. I don't think they're trying to really suck up as much as they're just trying to do a business deal. Like, that's just about it. And if you didn't want this to happen, then you should be mad at Biden, really, because he's the one who allowed it to get this far as it did. That's not, I'm not saying like, oh, Trump, good guy. Trump is a good guy. You should praise him. No, I'm just saying, I think people trying to make this seem like this was all Trump's idea, this was all like a ploy, are just being delusional. No, it's Biden's fault. It's Biden's and the Democrats' fault, because they just could not do the simplest thing of just not doing this obviously bad thing that was unpopular. This was incredibly unpopular. And they still did it. They still did it because, well, people were criticizing Israel too much on there, I guess. And they just couldn't. I don't understand. Like, the people, like, I don't know. Like, obviously, fuck Trump. Trump's a terrible person. He's a bad guy. Again, he wanted to originally ban TikTok. This is what this stems from. But why did Democrats have to act on it? That's like the big thing that I feel like people don't really understand on this, is like, obviously, Trump is a villain and he should be your enemy. Bar none. I'm not saying praise him, obviously. But don't forget that we don't get here without Biden and the Democratic Party fucking shit up exponentially. Like, they're supposed to be the opposing force to the Republicans, and they fucked it up and just gave them a win. It's so fucking stupid. It's why they lost the election. It's why we currently have a ceasefire deal when Trump got involved, when Trump and his establishment got involved, is because Biden is just incompetent. His whole team is incompetent, and they just could not do the easiest shit ever, and they just gave it for Trump for the win. Again, he's going to give Israel every right to fuck up Gaza, after this ceasefire deal, concludes. Even Netanyahu has openly stated that that's going to happen. As we already saw with the TikTok thing, I believe he said he wants America to own 50% of that. He wants America to have 50% of the shares within TikTok, which who knows how that's going to go. I don't know. It's just a messy situation that could have easily been avoided if Biden and the Democrats just had some sort of spine and didn't feed into this right-wing fear-mongering. It's just completely fucking stupid. This is the thing with social media, is for some reason it really just comes down to incompetence from both people on the right, billionaires like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, just not really caring about their product and just really caring about their own image in a sense. And the Democratic Party, it really just comes down to both of those classes, the billionaires like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, and the Democratic Party just giving in to right-wing fear-mongering. And it has dominated a place where, even though social media is filled with a lot of hatred even before all this, it was still a good way for people to build community. TikTok had many small businesses that had pages and were making money off of being able to show a lot of people their products through TikTok. It was very successful in that. And because of the TikTok ban, those people are at risk of losing that kind of customer base. And if it wasn't for, unfortunately, don't burn me at the cross for saying this, if it wasn't for the Trump administration, there's probably a chance that they were never going to get that that customer base back. Obviously, again, he started all this with the introduction of a TikTok ban, but Democrats they could have just not, really gave into that. They didn't need to, but they did. And they just kind of shot themselves in the foot with that. But yeah, everything is just... social media just kind of sucks right now, doesn't it? But that's all I really got to say. So I just want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Follow me on Twitter. Speaking of social media, here's where you can find me, down below. But yeah.